July 21st, 2014.
In the Kurtzman era of Star Trek, there have been hits, and boy, there's been some misses. Discovery Klingons! One of the biggest of those hits is the second animated Star Trek series, Lower Decks. It's been simultaneously a piss take and a love letter to every fan of the franchise, giving us a focus on TNG era for some reason, but getting a little of everything. Now, as the series begins its fifth and final season, we hope that it will answer more of the questions about the characters we know and love than it starts asking. This is Treknicity.
Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast where we do the deep dive on all things Star Trek. I'm your host, Lars DeSenza, and with me are my co-hosts, Patrick Murray and Mike Raper. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the first two episodes of Lower Decks' fifth and final season, entitled Dos Cerritos and Shades of Green. Without much ado, let's get into it, guys. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having your way with us. Yay!
Happy to be here.
I had to go
as
there
always.
So, I think I think we started back on these episodes at a good time, just in time, really, for Lower Decks to come back for this final season. I don't know about you guys, but I was a little worried that they were going to kind of just limp along into the end because I knew it was the end. But I was pretty happy with with what I've seen so far.
I was absolutely sure they were going to come and crush it because they've been doing it for 4 seasons. And to be fair, when you only have 10 episodes a season, crushing it a little bit easier than we got to fill 26 episodes, and this is going to be a long rush. That's how you get filler.
No, I thought it was a good start to the season. One of the things that that's a kind of a hallmark of any good Star Trek show is there's always some kind of character development, and especially in the first one, Dos Cerritos, you get to see that when they see their opposite selves and wonder what choices did I make that I could have been that person. And for one of them, Boimler, it's like, I want to be that guy.
So let's steal his pad and do that.
Yeah, and then you get the opposite, where it's like the captain is a complete psycho.
Yeah. So I'm going to just interject here for just a second. One thing I did forget to do, and it's something that we kind of made sure we did last season, and that is just to let you guys know when we do these reviews, we will be spoilerific. So if you have not watched the first 2 episodes of this of the 5th season of Lower Decks, please stop right here, go watch them, come back and finish up.
Also, it's been more than 24 hours. Why haven't you watched this? Why are you listening to us rather than watching the episode, then coming back and listening to us?
Yeah, if you're much of a Star Trek geek that you actually watch us, if you're one of the 6 people out there who watches us, you probably have already seen it, but
at least twice.
Probably.
Maybe 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
it's like 40 minutes of watch, 45 minutes of watch time, so why not?
Yeah. Admittedly, the thing is, I wanted so bad to watch these episodes prior, which normally we do. Like last few series, we've been very fortunate to have been included on the run of screeners for early access, so we could do spoiler-free reviews and then be able to pre-record. But for one reason or another, we didn't make it into the cut this time.
Because we're Treknicity.
So we had to so we just had to wait like everybody else and watch them when it came out. I was going to watch them on my lunch break, but I thought, no, my wife actually kind of likes to watch this series, so I'll wait until I get done. Plus, we weren't going to record right away, so I didn't really feel rushed, which was great. Now, also, I just kind of want to give our listeners and our viewers just a little bit of a rundown of how we're going to do these types of reviews. So, first of all, we're not going to do them as they come out. We are doing the first 2 episodes because they were made available right away. And what we've decided we're going to do is we're going to wait until the next 3 episodes have released on Paramount Plus, and
Maybe
then we're
4,
going
who
to
knows?
and then we're going to do a review then, and then we're going to break it into the next 3 episodes, and then we're going to be doing a like a wrap up of the entire series, the last season, and of course the last 2 episodes of Lower Decks, and then we'll kind of that's how we'll break it up, and so that way there are plenty of people out there who are doing very timely reviews of these episodes, and they're fantastic. So by all means, go out there and watch them. Come back and watch ours when they drop, and and I'm sure we'll have a lot of good content to share with you. The other thing is that with these particular episodes or these particular reviews, as I may have mentioned in the last episode, we're going to break them down in what we call the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to discuss what we felt was really good about it, things that were not so good about it, and then the code of honor level bad things that happened with it. So again, without kind of any further delay, let's go ahead and let's just dive right into episode 1, which is entitled Dos Cerritos. I'm going to start with you, Patrick. One thing I love about, I guess, kind of having you do reviews is the fact that your level of knowledge is damn near encyclopedic on anything that you invest yourself in. So I always look forward to seeing what your perspectives are. So why don't you go ahead and give us what you feel are the good elements of episode 1?
Episode 1. That was it. Yeah, everything clicks every time for this. I mean, we get the split option. We have Tendy's story because she's off being an Orion pirate, except a nice Orion pirate who doesn't want to kill people and wants to science solutions. And yeah, that's pretty much what she does. Here we see the opening scene where where they are basically trying to take over the collector's ship, which of course she does awesome, and she stops everybody from killing everybody. Later we get to where her sister and Erica tells her you can go back to the Cerritos if you get me this ship. So they go to the ship, and of course that's when we meet the Blue Orions from the animated series, and they're idiots, and it's hilarious the entire way. I had to look them up because I've never actually watched the old animated series, but yeah, they're as silly as you would expect some from a Filmation project dropped into. Ultimately, that storyline resolves as they manage to take them out with laughing gas and kick their asses. And of course, Tendy finds out that all of the pirates she's working with, all the girls want to do something other than pirating. So of course she'll help them. And that ends where they basically end up, we're at war with the Blue Orions. Yay. That's the entire storyline of that. But yeah, all of that was good.
How about you, Mike? What do you feel are the good elements of this episode?
Well, I touched on this before. Any good Star Trek's going to have some character development in it, and your 2 leads, Boimler, Mariner. Boimler at the beginning of the episode is feeling frustrated that he didn't make the top 30 under 30 in the Starfleet magazine, which is kind of a riff on People magazine. Didn't even make honorable mention, so he's feeling like maybe he's not doing very well. Then he meets his opposite number, who is he's got a beard, he's on away missions, he's much further along in his career.
It's awesome.
And he's wondering, what decisions did you make that I didn't? But at the same time, you have Mariner, who doesn't particularly want to be promoted and finds out in the alternate universe she's the captain. And not only is she the captain, she's Captain Jellicoe, hard-ass captain who rules through fear. and she decides,
Captain
I
Deck
don't
Freeman.
want to be this way. I will not be that person. So, in an episode where it's 25 minutes long, you get some pretty good character development in there. And I enjoy that. That's one of the things that I like in Star Trek is the character development.
Absolutely. Now, for me, and you guys make really good points. This is something that I had an issue I had with some of the other Kurtzman era series that I felt kind of missed the mark. Is that
Discovery.
you had to do the whole thing of you want to be like you want us to invest ourselves in these characters, but you spend so little time actually developing them. I mean, we're talking, Lower Decks now has effectively 42 episodes in the can, and we are now intimately familiar with all of the characters on these series, and we have invested our emotion and our time into wanting to see more of them. As Patrick said, the good portions of these episodes are that they kind of mix, elements from all different Star Trek series. In fact, prior to us actually starting the record of this, we were kind of had a little bit of a discussion, and I was talking with Mike, and basically I was saying to you that what I felt was the strength of Lower Decks is that it is simultaneously a piss take and a love letter. And I remember I was sitting there watching this episode, and when the Blue Orion showed up, I just laughed so hard because I'm like, like these guys look like they could be on Scooby-Doo. And of course it did, because they lifted them right out of the filmation version of the animated series. And I'm like, so these are like back from the 70s. I'm like, you just threw 70s era bad guys into a 21st century, 2020s show. And I thought, this is perfect. So, I mean, it's like, it's just, you get it right. You just chef's kiss on that. And of course, again, back to what you were saying before, I feel like there is a lot of intimate character development. Even to the point like where you have Tendi, she doesn't compromise her values. She doesn't want to kill people. She's willing to do what she promised to do, but she didn't. She didn't go against what they were wanting her to do. She was just doing it her way. And again, that says a lot about how they write these characters and how they portray them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I mean, I think it's gonna be really difficult to find the bad and the ugly in these episodes, but we'll do our best. We'll go back to you, Patrick. What do you think could be deemed as bad?
Ransom's mullet. That's about it. I mean, yeah, I'll also say that's the ugly, because, yeah, mullet.
Yeah.
But they had to give him something. They had to give him something to make him different. I mean, it's essentially, they're like 0.37 something % off.
Yeah.
So it's not the mirror universe, even though Boimler's got a whole beard and everything.
Yeah, he had the Riker beard going on. I was like, oh yeah, look at a purple full beard. That's brilliant.
Yeah, he's going full Riker. I bet he even mounts his chairs like a Riker.
Well, remember,
he did do that in Strange New Worlds.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
I like the title, Riker. And the best part of that, Frakes was directing that episode.
What about you, Mike? Did you find anything particularly that you felt was bad?
No, I didn't think anything that was, jumped out at me and made me go, ugh, that didn't land very well. Yeah, I will admit I'm the Luddite of the group that it's Lower Decks. Some of the humor doesn't always land for me. But I didn't see anything that was particularly bad in this episode. Most of it I thought was actually very good. It was, if I had to say anything was bad, it's hard to do an A and B plot in 25 minutes, and some of the jumps to the other storyline were happening to me. It was like just at the wrong time. I'm like, oh, I'm getting invested. Oh, now we're at this other thing. But other than that, I thought it was really good.
I would say for me, the I guess the obvious tie-in, which was the MacGuffin at the end, and that is the the part where of course. Now, one thing we've skipped over is we've actually skipped over just doing a summary of the plot, because we figure that if you're still listening to this, you've actually watched this, you know what happened. In the episode, or in the A plot, one of the things that happens is that Mariner and Boimler get kidnapped while they're on a mission, and they're locked away, and they kind of at the and when it comes to the end, they figure things out. The kidnappers realize just
Hold
how
on.
long it worked.
Hold on a second. I gotta stop you. That's the second episode.
Second
not the first
episode,
one.
yeah.
First
that's the
one
second
is just the other galaxy.
Mhm.
Of course, yes, absolutely. Sorry.
I gotta stop you. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the two actually mixed together. I am blending. I'm blending episodes. This is why we don't do 2 episodes at a time.
Well, it's an easy mistake, because I kind of got pieces of it confused too, because the Orion plot does kind of pick back up in the second episode and is partially resolved.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's easy to do.
Yeah. So I'll move that into the bad part of episode 2. But again, as you said, it's hard to do a seamless A/B plot. They've done it in the past pretty well. This one was a little less smooth moving, but otherwise, again, it's tough. It's tough to see the bad, which is, I guess, moving to the ugly side of things. I don't know if you guys really even have an ugly part of it, and for me, as I was saying prior to recording, I think the only ugly part of it is the fact that the series itself is in its final season.
I'm gonna come back to the mullet.
Well,
that and if you're in the battle that's in the opening credits, this season they added the big green hand from, I think was that Humorns for Adonis?
Yes.
In the original
it
series,
is.
and then they
Mhm.
added the Tholian web, and then they dropped in V'ger.
And the whale probe.
Well,
The whale probe was last season.
Oh, he was? Okay.
yeah, but the funny thing is, that's why I asked. I couldn't remember seeing it in season 4, but I trust you. I didn't even have to go back and check it. I just trust you.
Hold on. Give me a second here. Go ahead and talk. I'll cut.
Yeah, I mean, so while Patrick is doing his encyclopedic research, for the one thing he probably doesn't know, I can't think of anything that was particularly ugly in the episode. If I had to, was forced to pick one thing, it would be, in other series we've seen these interdimensional rifts are a big deal. They're a big deal, and then this one it's kind of like, oh yeah, we just go around and close these up. I'm like, what?
Space potholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. I forgot about how trivial they treated them.
Yeah, I was like, that's new. Normally, this is not something that's treated as a minor thing.
Okay.
But and I did enjoy though the way they kept arguing about who was the real Cerritos crew.
Oh yeah.
We're Prime Universe. No, we're the Prime Universe.
Yeah.
You're the heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the answer. Season 1, it's basically a battle between the Borg and the Romulans. Season 2, they added the Packlet clump ships. Season 3, the crystalline entity shows up. Season 4 is the whale probe. And then season 5, yeah, like I said, they add the hand, and they had the green hand and the Tholian web and V'ger.
Well, yeah. So there you go. We've got the breakdown, but still, I think it's pretty cool. As far as this episode goes, I think we've wrapped it up pretty well. Any final thoughts on it before we go to Shades of Green?
Just one other little character moment that I really enjoyed is there was a little bit of interplay in this episode between Rutherford and T'Lyn, where she goes to him to learn how to fix a shuttle as part of her training. And you find out later she's only doing it because she knows that he's lonely.
And
So she's,
that's the next episode.
well, then I just screwed that all up, and we'll just edit that out later.
Again,
So,
I'm
how
gonna
about
say this is why we don't do 2 episodes at a time.
How come I'm the only one that can keep this perfectly straight?
Because you're the one with the encyclopedic knowledge, and the rest of us are dunces. That's why.
And I would say that you're the only one of us who isn't perfectly straight.
Okay.
I'll leave it right there and move on.
So yeah, the second episode, let me just give you a quick summary so we remember. The Cerritos is doing the post-scarcity society. They Boimler and Mariner lose a couple of their ensigns. They have to go save them from rich people who are all upset. Meanwhile, Rutherford, after realizing for the first episode that he's got to kind of move on from Tendi, has T'Lyn, who at the end reveals she wants to have have some social time with him, comes to him to help get the ship, can't remember what it's called, the shuttlecraft fully repaired, to keep working on the shuttlecraft. Of course, being a Vulcan, she finishes it and has it fully operational with the grappler and everything on the front. But then when she realizes that they were supposed to just do this so they could spend time together, not fix it. In the very end, Tendi, who's returned, comes in, and T'Lyn has basically smashed it so they can enjoy it. Meanwhile, the Tendi plot is where she had where their whole thing with using non-pirate tactics started the war with the Blue Orions. They continue the war. The Queen of Orion decides you're going to have a sail race, which of course they have. And Tendi finds out that D'Erica is pregnant, and D'Erica didn't tell her, but told everybody else because she wants to protect Tendi so Tendi doesn't get stuck there for things. And of course, this leads to Tendi being Tendi and trying to take care of everything, crashing the ship, and then of Starfleeting a solution, blowing up the treasure, which of course means everybody loses their money. But luckily, when she comes back, she realizes this post-scarcity society is getting all their money getting rid of all their money and their jewels and their gold. Hey, let's improve relations with the Orions, and they get the money and everybody wins. Happy. Tendi's back. We got 8 episodes more of Tendi on the Cerritos. Yay. That's it.
Mike?
Good summary. Yeah. Well, so if we're going to get into the good, bad, and the ugly, I think that Patrick's summary was right on. Good parts for me, again, was this relationship between T'Lyn and Rutherford, that she appears to be coming to learn to work on a shuttle. Is just part of her scientific training. She wants to be a senior science officer. She has to know how to fix things. Got it. But then you find out she's actually doing it for him because she knows that he's lonely. So that's a nice human moment for her, that she's showing some care and concern for her crew. On the other part of things, it's really very much a Boimler episode on the planet, and it's following up to the original, or the first episode. He's trying to figure out how to be more effective. So he has these what does he call them? His
Bointers.
Yeah, Bointers. Yeah, where he's got like apparently 16 of them, all the way down to don't mess with the local wildlife, to be more effective the way he thinks his alternate self was, and then makes the mistake of trying to be too friendly, and he lets some people go, and everything just kind of goes to pot. But again, the fact that you're showing some character development being carried over from the previous episode is a nice touch. I like that. You can have an episodic show that still has serialistic elements to it, and I thought they pulled that off nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the best parts of this episode were the B plot, as you call it, and that is the fact that we get to see Tendi basically the situation. She gets to be herself. She gets to try to be the one who takes care of everything and everybody, but using solutions that don't involve violence, and even trying to be the hero, but also trying to get to the bottom of things. She's worried about her sister. Excuse me. The point is that she does kind of go a little overboard, but at the same time, she still sticks to her. She sticks to her roots, and she doesn't compromise who she is as a character. And of course, at the very end of it, we get her back on the Cerritos, which was fantastic. Miss Tendi, she's always so bubbly, and she is, of course, the complete antithesis of T'Lyn, which is always that good yin yang combination. Absolutely loved the fact that they worked the plot enough to get her back where we want her to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about anything particularly bad? Now, I did start to go into the bad portions, or I thought for this episode back when we were talking about the first one. But Patrick, what do you think? Are you going to go with the mullet again?
Well, we don't have the mullet again, so thankfully. Yeah. I don't know if it's always trying to get the Star Trek post-scarcity society thing explained. I think this episode actually does manage to do it, but actually, no, that's not even a bad. That's a good again. That'd probably be my biggest good is they show kind of what a post-scarcity society would be. Is like, oh, I'm going to commandeer your vehicle. Okay, I'll just replicate a new one. And then the line where like, why are we waiting in line? Everything's free. And they run in. And they're just burning money and it's falling. And then the only people that are upset are the people who have money. So they're losing all the value. It's, again, perfect. So bad. Bad, actually, yeah, I don't have anything really bad. We'll get back to the ugly because we'll get back to the ugly and then I have two things for the ugly.
What about you, Mike? Do you have any bad elements?
Only one, and it's a pet peeve of mine in any movie or series is I never have liked the idea of making a character do something stupid to advance the plot. And the fact that Patrick just referenced this, Boimler jumps on some kind of air vehicle,
Backwards.
Car, whatever, and he's on it backwards. Nobody would be that dim. And it's like, it was just, it's a shot at a cheap joke. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Let him have his moment, without making it a joke. But that's the only bad thing that I can think of from the episode.
For me, I guess the only bad really element I felt was, as I started talking about before, is the MacGuffin of the, like we had to have like things kind of work themselves out, because I don't really feel like they're not going to purposely leave anything hanging loose in these episodes. So one thing we have to, do is we have to find a way to wrap everything up in a nice little bow. So of course, you have the sail, like the space sailing race, where they get stuck. They Starfleet their way out of it and figure out how to get there. Tendi decides to destroy the treasure, which of course costs her syndicate to be tossed out, and they lose their money and all that stuff. And they're like, well, I can't leave them in a bad place. So they did tie those two together, but I hate it when they feel like they got to MacGuffin things to make it all a happy ending for that. And it's a small nitpick, but I hate it when they feel like they have to do that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. We'll get there, but that's my ugly for the episode.
All right, so let's go. Speaking of ugly, let's get into it. Patrick, you said you have two.
Okay, so the first one, I'm going to jump ahead to when they go find the ensigns and they're looking all dead. The dead ensign look was just really awesome. I thought it's ugly, obviously, but it's a good ugly. And then it turns out, this is really good because they followed the pointer to always study the local fauna and flora, and they found these things that the coma beetles that made him go, and it was great.
Yeah, actually, that was a nice little twist, even though it was kind of.
After taking the piss out of Boimler, we find out, Boimler's actually effective. Surprise there. Because Boimler we tend to get a lot of Boimler doing kind of stupid things that we can make fun of him for, but then he turns out he's actually good at what he does. The peak of that being the end of season 4 when he captains the Cerritos flying the Orion ship into the shield and does a really good job. And I think I'm trying to remember if he even pops up a leg Riker style as he does it. I think he does, maybe. I don't know.
I'll have to go back
But yeah,
and watch that again.
but the real ugly is those 4 little hairs for his budding beard and mustache.
His mustache.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my! I noticed that. I was like, oh, he's going for the beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, and then he pulls on him and he pulls 2 strings.
Yeah.
Oh, please no. I mean, it'll great if he goes full Riker, but till then, it's going to be a horrific and nightmarish experience.
It's like the episode from first season TNG when Data decides he wants to have a beard, and he goes to show I think it was Troy and Geordi, and they come into his quarters, and he's got this beard, actually, now that I think about it, it might even be second season, and it might have been he was doing it because that was the first season that Riker had a beard, and he references, he's like, well, why do you want a beard? He's like, well, when Commander Riker thinks deeply, he strokes his beard thusly, and I was like, yeah. It was kind of like, no, please don't do that. And so same thing with Boimler when they decided to, go down that road. I was like, please don't make that a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I get what they were doing as far as, it shows him visually trying to copy his alternate self that had the beard and the mustache. But his 4 little blue hair beard was
hilarious.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it was even blue because they didn't have enough line width to have a color in it.
Probably, yeah. All right. So, any final thoughts, good, bad, or otherwise?
I can't wait. We got 8 more episodes, and I'm going to enjoy every single one of them because I'm trying to think. I don't think Lower Decks has had a bad episode yet. I mean, they've had ones that are a little bit weaker, but all of them deliver either laughs and or heartfelt moments and or advancing the plot, which even though they usually try to tie up most episodes unless they cliffhanger us, they usually leave something unanswered that hopefully we can continue and try to figure out. And really the first 2 episodes were mainly about getting Tendi back to the Cerritos so that we could continue and kind of returning everything to the status quo. Which thankfully it took them 2 episodes to do that. And then they faked us out in the first episode with, oh no, there's a war. And now we've got to fight. And Teddy says, no, I'm going to stay here and help you fight this war.
Uh-oh.
And it's like, oh no, it's another season. I actually got my daughter with that one a little bit. Says, I wonder, I started suggesting, oh, maybe they're not going to send her back. And then she says, oh, I bet you, because earlier in the second episode, there's a scene where Rutherford's doing the door, it's closing and opening, and suddenly it opens, there's T'Lyn. She says, I bet Tendy's going to appear just before Rutherford opens the door, and Tendy's there. It was glorious. Anyway.
How about you, Mike? Any final thoughts?
Pretty much the same thing. This has the feel of setting up a longer arc for the last 8 episodes to end the entire show. This first 2 episodes is just getting the band back together. It's getting everybody back on the ship, and now we'll go to whatever the final story is going to be. So I'm curious to see where they take it.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised and not surprised at the same time that the thing is they chose not to really make a series long arc. Regardless of it being regardless of it being episodic and serialized at the same time. I was kind of surprised that they didn't kind of come up with something that would kind of pull us towards the end. So we'll be very interested to see what happens as we go along. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Treknicity. And now that we've embarked on the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks, we're anxiously waiting to see what Mike Mahan has that will kind of take us down this hilarious, heartwarming, and probably heartbreaking journey as we say goodbye to the junior crew of the USS Cerritos. With all that being said, thank you for joining us here on Treknicity as we do the deep dive on all things in the Star Trek multiverse. I, of course, am your host, Lars DeSenza, and with me are my co-hosts, Patrick Murray and Mike Raper. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and go to Treknicity.com as well as visiting all of our socials listed above. All right. And if you have any future ideas for future episodes and subjects, please feel free to email us at show@Treknicity.com or DM us on any of our social media accounts. And as always, remember to rock out, which is Spock out. We'll see you next time.